You might think that duckweed is so small and insignificant looking that there isn't a great deal to say about it, or at least not enough to hold your attention for a full wildflower episode. In fact, you might question whether this green scum could be a flowering plant at all. But such indeed it is, belonging to a small family that includes the very smallest of all flowering plants, whose nearest relatives among more familiar flowers are the arum family, cuckoo pint, lords and ladies being the most familiar example. And it's a marvel of miniaturization, because even though it has more or less cast off all the obvious features that characterize flowering plants and are responsible for their success today as the Earth's dominant plants, they have managed to become one of the most widespread and successful groups of aquatic plants. This is common duckweed. Its Latin name is Lemna minor, which is the most widespread of the world's 25 or so species, of which we have 4 in Ireland, and indeed it's found all over the world. The stem and leaves are reduced to this little egg-shaped disc, and its root system a single root with a conspicuous root cap. I have to quote for you the description of duckweed given by the great English herbalist John Gerard in the late 16th, early 17th century. It is, as it were, a certain green moss, with very little round leaves of the bigness of lentils, out of the midst whereof on the nether side grow down very fine threads like hairs, which are to them instead of roots. It hath neither stalk, flower, or fruit. Although it spreads almost entirely vegetatively, the fronds dividing so rapidly you can nearly see them doing it, duckweed does produce flowers, but very rarely, and they couldn't be simpler. They are monoecious, which means there are separate male and female flowers on the same frond, the 2 male flowers in a tiny cup enclosing a single stamen each, one maturing before the other and both before the female flower, which consists of a single bottle-shaped stigma. Insignificant though they are, these flowers are thought to be pollinated by such small insects as water beetles and water measurers. Duckweed features in the diet of herbivorous fishes and of water birds, including the farmyard ducks from which it takes its name. And in days gone by, it was believed to have the ability to soothe the pain of conditions such as bruises or boils, gout, inflamed skin, if it was applied as a poultice mixed with bran or flour. But its importance today goes way beyond those more traditional uses. In the first place, it can thrive in conditions that are so polluted that nothing else can live there, and it has the ability to restore the water so that other plants and animals can return. And for this reason, it's used in the bioremediation of polluted waters, in municipal wastewater treatment, and in toxicity analysis. The genome of duckweed can be manipulated to express proteins of pharmacological interest, and its potential as biofuel is also under investigation. Duckweed meal is also highly nutritious, and in the United States, duckweed is grown on dairy wastewater and fed to cattle and pigs instead of alfalfa. Its protein content is 25 to 45% compared to only 17 or so percent for grass silage. It's also used to make fish food, and under carefully controlled conditions, it can even be used as human food. For optimal growth, it needs fertilizer, which is usually provided in slurry form, such as cattle manure, pig waste, biogas, plant slurry, or human urine. It has to be harvested daily to achieve optimal yields, which can be 10 to 30 tons of dried duckweed a year. And all of this is happening not just far away in other parts of the world, because here in Ireland, earlier in the year, a new green farm cooperative was set up in order to exploit the potential of duckweed as animal feed. in order to reduce Ireland's dependence on imported soybean. Duckweed has 30 times the protein content of soybean. So after all that, it may not come as too much of a surprise to learn that duckweed is the prime candidate under consideration for cultivation as human food on Mars, if we ever get there.